Welcome into this Wednesday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal McCready, Clark Ford Studio this afternoon, 1:09 here as we're getting started. I always thought to kind of give you a time in case something gets set on fire in the next 45 minutes. You'll know that we did or did not have that available at our disposal as we are recording. So we'll talk some of this football today. We'll hit some other things. We listened to Joe Biden take questions a minute ago. Not a lot of politics today. You can find those yesterday, as most
Donald
people on our
Trump
message
Jr.
board
will be
are
on the
aware.
show in just a little while. So will Clay Travis, Ben Shapiro coming on as well. A big show planned today on the big podcast.
So we'll get into
Ivanka
plenty of
Trump,
topics.
perhaps coming on, depending on whether she is able to get her hair done in time.
Oh, look at you! I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Podcast brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford. We got the menu special to you a couple days ago. What they offer every single day, and actually, Rivals is the only thing that has not changed. We've gone from $4.99 to $5.69 on our lunch plates. Don't anybody take in a $5 bill and not quite be able to get it done. So $5.69. The price there, depending on the day. I mean, you can get some chicken spaghetti, get some chicken and dumplings, get a lot of different things. Your menu item does not appear to be still on the list now, as it's been several years. I think your face is gone, so I know you're upset about that.
That is devastating.
Better have to take a drink of something strong to get over it, but I think that's where we are. So all Blue Sky locations in Mississippi, including the Oxford Exxon here locally. So head on in, check it out, refuel, and get back on the way. And again, maybe you're jumping into Clark Ford's. We're in the Clark Ford studio.
You should be. 662-257-1900 is that number. Call it. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. It's right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote, and the rest is up to you. I would recommend that you hop into a Clark Ford. You'll love the product. You'll love the service after the sale. Corey always says he wants to be your car guy. He wants to be your truck guy. He'll prove that to you when you make the call, 662-257-1900. Our guest, whether it's Donald Trump Jr. or Ben Shapiro or whoever that may be, will join on the Rafters Music and Food Hotline. Rafters on the Square is open, and Rafters on the Water is open. Today's a Wednesday, so it opens at 3:30 today. Open till 10. Same hours on Thursday, then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's a party all weekend at Rafters on the Water, 11 to 10. Drink specials, food specials, basically everything. Fun appetizers, fun cocktails. It's all there at Rafters on the Water and Rafters on the Square in Oxford.
Seeing from the live stream that people got their ticket info on what games they might can get to, how to do different things as far as Ole Miss football this season. So, yeah. Big day for a lot of people.
Big day.
Either really happy or really annoyed here sometime in the next hour or so.
So how's that work? They're going to find out whether they can get in or not?
I think they understand at least, what their options are, like where they can get tickets, how many, like what the full scope of situations is. The way I understand it. I mean, somebody can tell us in the stream that they've seen the tickets.
Did you tweet this out, by the way?
I did. Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Yep. Your mailbag is up on the site at Rebel Grove. What all's in there today?
Someone asked about how the family is doing with, with just life with COVID. And so I kind of ran through how we're living, our family, in this COVID world. A lot of detail with what we do each morning to prepare for the day, all those things. Talked a little bit. I answered a couple of questions about John Rice Plumlee. Ironically, you happened to write a column about John Rice Plumlee just a little while ago, so I answered a couple of questions. My answers seem to dovetail with your column to some degree. Yep.
Well, yeah, John Rice Plumlee story up at rebelgrove.com as of the last 10 minutes, simply saying he wants to play quarterback. So we've been hearing the last few days that Matt Corral had kind of taken over as the favorite for the starting quarterback job heading into the season opener against Florida, and now 24 days. We heard a little bit of it after the first scrimmage, heard a good bit more after the second, and with the current situation, the storyline always goes, well, what does that mean for John Rice, a guy that's incredibly athletic, that does a lot with the ball in his hands? What positions are possible? I know a lot of people speculate as far as what that looks like, and I want to point out that while we always talk about, not us, but while media in general seems to always talk about H-backs and slots and different things, that's not where, frankly, a lot of coaches have seen John Rice in the past, where they believe he could help the team the most. And I thought it was interesting yesterday. We didn't talk about this, but Lane Kiffin, the only place that he really elaborated from a personnel standpoint was defensive back.
Yes.
He talked about Mark Britt, talked about how he went from playing offense to being a starter on that side of the ball, about how they were really banged up on that side. I mean, other than mentioning that the offensive line had 3 guys out, that was kind of it from a personnel standpoint. Very vague about the quarterback situation. We know from multiple sources that, again, Corral is the front runner there, and that's pretty well known throughout the building. But John Rice has an opportunity, if he would like to play defense and really help this program right now from a getting on the field standpoint. But I think I called it a trope in my story. The whole Corral versus Plumlee thing has gotten very tiring for me. I think for you too, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Talking about 2 players, 2 kids, everybody seems to have a favorite, and by God, it's almost kind of become like the election. I mean, it's one or the other, and there's very little in the middle, and no matter what, they've kind of got their version of this. But everybody kind of has an opinion here, and everybody has an ability to do what they want to do. I mean, Kiffin can say something, Levy can say something, and at the end of the day, John Rice gets to choose what he wants to do. He could potentially play another position. He could potentially do some different things. Or he could continue this quarterback competition and let it fall where it may. It's kind of the point I had in the story, is that if John Rice stays at quarterback, his goal is to lead this program from the quarterback position. He's been very known about that. He's been saying that since day one.
It's why he signed with Ole Miss.
Yeah, I wrote this. If it was all about defensive backfield or anything else, he wouldn't be at Ole Miss. He came to Ole Miss to play quarterback. That's what he wants to play. And he's the one that gets to work toward that and live with that decision. You know what I mean? And if he ends up being the quarterback at some point, then he gets the spoils compared to last year. And if he doesn't, then he has that side of the decision to make as well. So I think that was the point, is it's different, but in some ways it's very similar to DeMarco Cox, Terrence Davis. Everybody has opinions on what John Rice Plumlee should do, what he's better at, whatever. At the end of the day, he's the one that gets to make decisions and go after whatever it is he wants to do, and it's life. So it's
actually a great analogy.
He suffers that from either direction.
It's actually a great analogy. I'll do Terrence because I remember it better. I do remember DeMarco's deal, but Terrence's is more. It's both. Forgot DeMarco was a pretty highly rated offensive tackle.
Yeah. That was the Terrence Davis before Terrence Davis. We got that one a lot.
Yeah, and of course we'll start with DeMarco Cox. People said you should play football, and he said, "But I don't want to play football." Yeah, but you should. But I don't want to. I want to play basketball. Now for DeMarco Cox, he did not become an NBA player. I think he's still playing overseas.
Is he?
But he didn't become an NBA player, and he may have become an NFL player. I don't know. No telling. With Terrence Davis, everyone said, you should play football. He said, but I don't want to play football. I want to play basketball. Yeah, but you should play football. You've got an NFL future as a wide receiver. And he said, I think I can play in the NBA. And people said, you're crazy. And he said, it's my life. I'm the one that has to get up each day and look in the mirror and decide whether I made the right decision or not. You don't get to do that. I do. And it's a little different with Plumlee because we're talking about the same sport. He wants to play quarterback. That's why he went to Ole Miss. If he was willing to play defensive back, he'd be at Georgia today.
LSU, Auburn, Florida State, Alabama. A lot of people recruiting him at defensive back. He had a lot of SEC offers at that position.
A lot of schools recruited him as a defensive back, and had they been willing to tell him, hey, you can play quarterback, he would have considered them more than he did. Ole Miss was in a little different boat. They needed a recruiting splash. They were doing the Mississippi-made thing. They offered him an opportunity to play quarterback, so he came. He doesn't want to play defense. I'll give the guy credit here.
Well, because real quick, the one thing I'll say is somebody says, hey, Robert Gamble in the thread says JRP signed with a different staff. Doesn't some of the promises go out the window? Yeah, nobody's promising him anything.
Yeah.
There is that. That's kind of the point. There is no promise, but you can't go, hey, you're automatically over here if that's just whatever. I mean, you can, but you're
it's not a really good idea for a coaching staff to come in and look at a veteran player or a player who's played for a year, and certainly a high-profile player like John Rice Plumlee, and say, I mean, what can they say? Are you gonna strip a scholarship? Or are you gonna say if you don't move to wide receiver or if you don't move to safety, we're kicking you off the team?
Mm-hmm.
Boy, explain that on the recruiting trail. Good luck with that one down the road. But no, they're not. They're not beholden to him. They didn't make him any promises. So if they walked in and said, look, we think you should move to a different position. If you want to move to a different position, we can make that happen. And frankly, there's some places on the field where we think you'll play. But if you stay at quarterback, we're not making you any promises. And he stays at quarterback. That's the decision he made. But no, they're very clearly not beholden to any of these kids. They didn't make any promises on the recruiting trail to Matt Corral, to John Rice Plumlee. If they made a promise to anybody, and I don't think they did, it would be Cade Renfro.
Yeah, no.
Frankly, at this point, based on just some things that I've heard, and this is not a knock on Plumlee as much as it is a little bit of I've been told that what I've said about this season being a recruiting tool from here's how we want to play. This is what we want to look like when we get our players in. What you see on the field will work. I think Renfro fits that better than Plumlee does. I think the staff knows that. How much of the offense does Renfro know right this moment? I don't know. It's no telling. Not as much as Corral. How comfortable is he? Well, not as comfortable as Corral is. Corral played last season. Corral's played in 2 different seasons. He's had a couple of summers. 3 summers?
This is his 3rd summer.
Yeah, so, he's been around the program a lot more than Cade Renfro has. Cade has been at Ole Miss since January. And, part of that was a pandemic where I assume he went back to Texas for
means he's
several
swimming
months.
Mentally because everybody's swimming mentally at that point.
But, I don't think John Rice Plumlee is going to be the quarterback for the staff. I don't. But he has every right to say, hey, look, I'd rather compete in the quarterback room and potentially not play than give up on my goal of being a quarterback to go to a different position and play. Is that the decision I would make? I don't know. Is that the decision he should make? I don't know. The decision he wants to make is up to him. It's his decision. And then the ramifications of it are
And here's the deal. If he changes his mind in 2 weeks, that's his right too. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Sure. Great. Absolutely. You figure it out at that point. What I'm sensing, and maybe I'm wrong, I see it here, and this is not a criticism to AC Videos on the thread, talking about, but you got to give him the ball in his hands. It's just so much more complicated than that. And, yes, obviously, good offensive coordinators, good people, they find a way to get guys balls. But, they're having a hard time right now finding Snoop Conner carries. Wide receiver is not something that's just automatically jumped into.
No, it's just not. It's a technical position. I've never seen John Rice Plumlee catch a pass. I don't know whether he has great hands or not. I don't know. Is he an elite pass catcher? I've never seen him run a route.
I've never seen a lick of film at it. I've
never seen him run a route. Not one time. He might be awesome at it. He might not. There's this assumption that because he can run fast, and he absolutely can run fast, there's this assumption that, oh, man, you can just put him wherever. Boom. Football kind of doesn't work that way.
Well, Jamarca Sanford played safety for a reason. Love Jamarca. Hell of an SEC safety. Had no hands and couldn't play offense. Remember the combine? That's where he struggled. He couldn't catch the football.
Couldn't catch.
And I'm not comparing the two. I'm just saying that's kind of what happens. That was the one that came to mind was, it just didn't quite work that way. And now, look, John Rice might have some packages. I have no idea what all's going on. I know that there's at least been consideration of doing some things from an H-back, running back thing from a package standpoint. I know, who knows? I'm not sure. But, primary position, as of today, that's where he wants to be.
Kirby Smart recruited him as a defensive back. So did Nick Saban. Probably some others too. But those are 2 pretty good talent evaluators as it pertains to DBs. They thought he was a DB. John Rice Plumlee didn't sign with Alabama. He didn't sign with Georgia. He doesn't think he wants to be a quarterback. We'll see how it plays out. It's a hell of a gamble on his part, but this is a free year. He doesn't lose a year of eligibility. If you're ever going to have a year where you bet on yourself, this is the year to do it. Doesn't lose a year.
No. At the end of the year, he's going to have 3 to play 3.
And I don't know how close he is or isn't
Or 4 to play
to
3.
graduation or any of those things. I just don't know. I guess he'd have.
We'd have 3 years of.
I guess he'd have 3 to. I don't know. Beats me. In other words, this is, it's too late to transfer any place now. Not that he's thinking about transferring.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. But if you're going to roll the dice on a season, this is the one to roll it on.
And yeah, look, he's electric with the ball in his hands from the quarterback position. There's no doubt. He is.
He is. He was not a solid passer last season. This is not criticizing him. Both of the quarterbacks had major issues at the end of last season. One was simply not an accurate passer who could not stretch the field vertically with any degree of consistency, and the other made bad decisions with the ball in his hands. One has a better arm than the other one. There's no question about that. Corral's a better passer than Plumlee. He's got a stronger arm. He's got a better deep ball. He's more accurate. Throws with more velocity. He's a better passer. The term everyone uses is arm talent. He's got more arm talent. Plumlee is an electric player with the ball in his hands. The problem for Plumlee last year is that a lot of that electricity didn't happen until Ole Miss was down 3 or 4 touchdowns. When the game was 0-0 and the defense was playing straight up, a lot of times Ole Miss got off to really slow starts with Plumlee at quarterback. And late in games when teams were taking away the deep ball and playing a little bit more prevent and a little more soft, and maybe they were being a little less aggressive, he torched teams with his feet. It's been my contention all along, at the risk of sounding repetitive, that the big thing for Lane Kiffin and Jeff Lebby this year is to put on film and on television the offense that you want to recruit to. And I just don't believe that offense is a offense that's built around a running quarterback.
It's kind of what we're saying, too. I mean, that's, Kiffin has his plan. That, you know what I mean? Like, everybody, at the end of the day, all this stuff's going to come out in the wash one way or the other. I mean,
yeah.
Life's kind of a scoreboard business. You know what I mean? Like, it's all going to work for everybody or not work for everybody, and that's decisions that, frankly, we kind of gloss over a lot sometimes. Oh, well. Okay.
The score will be 0-0 at 11 a.m. on September the 26th. Florida will have 0 points. Ole Miss will have 0 points. They'll put 15 minutes up. It'll be quarter number 1, and a referee will blow a whistle, and someone will kick a ball. And they'll keep stats on everything. And you'll have numbers. It is literally a scoreboard business. It is a stat business. Everything is recorded. So we'll know at that point. Yeah, the Tebow-Chris Leak comparison is just not a good one. It's just not. John Rice Plumlee is nothing like Tim Tebow. Nothing from a football standpoint. Tim Tebow's a really large dude who was a pretty good college passer. He doesn't have an NFL release, and that got exposed in the NFL. But Tebow was a better passer coming out of high school than Plumlee was. I remember I was in Alabama, and Mike Shula basically put his job on the line trying to get Tim Tebow. And when they didn't get him, there was a lot of criticism because it turns out that the Tebow family was a huge Florida family.
So
and Mike Shula spent a ton of energy and capital trying to recruit.
So not
Tim
efficient.
Tebow.
He wasted.
And Tim Tebow was probably the highest rated recruit in the country coming out that year. Was also an elite runner. Maybe a better runner even than Plumlee.
So it's kind of it. It's kind of where we are with this thing. Again, we'll see what happens. It's 24 days away from the season opener. Matt Corral was the starter until the fourth game last year when he suffered the injury, and John Rice came in at the end of that game.
You go back. You go back a year, and that was where the whole thing got mishandled, mismanaged. Was Corral gets hurt against Cal, and he never really had a chance to get his job back. That was the mistake, in my opinion. And it wasn't so much. Look, they loved Corral and Plumlee, and they loved his game, and Rich Rodriguez loved his game, and he fit Rich Rodriguez's offense better than Corral did.
Of course, yeah.
But by the end, it was about perception, fighting for your job, hoping for your job, week after week after week of job talk. And that's where this is different now. Lane Kiffin's not coaching for his job this year in any shape, form, or fashion. This is year 0. He's not coaching for his gig. He's coaching for future seasons. It's just a totally different dynamic. And look, Corral's got to be a better decision maker in this offense. Because I don't anticipate Ole Miss being all that good on the defensive side of the ball. There's not going to be room. If you're worried about wins and losses this year, and odds are if you're a fan, you are, it's difficult for me to envision Ole Miss winning a lot of games where the quarterback, whoever he is, throws 2 or 3 interceptions.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I mean, you're going to have to be efficient on the offensive side, and that's still an issue that Matt Corral has to answer. The question I have –
it is his issue.
It is his issue, absolutely. The question that I have is if you get halfway into the season in this hypothetical and Corral's still making mistakes, do you, in what is essentially at this point a free year, do you go find out what you have in Cade Renfro, or do you change the offense to fit Plumlee? Knowing that there's a very real chance that this is going to be the first recruiting year that I know of, probably in history, but the first recruiting year ever that there's a very real chance that you will sign however many kids you sign without bringing any of them to your campus.
I was about to say, there has not been a visit day to this point in this class, and there's no sign of that changing. I have no idea when that's changing. Right. So, it's a huge problem.
So that's what I'm curious to see. What does he decide to do?
Yeah. We'll continue the show in a second. First, tell you about Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga. Underwriting and processing is done in Memphis. They're getting local underwriting and understands your market. A leader in condo financing, the float down option, and more. You can find Jason at 662-234-2704 or JLOWE at communitymtg.com.
We're also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, look no further than Grenada Nissan. They've got a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles. Great lease deals as well. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com. We are also brought to you by the Iron Horse Grill, open 4 times per week. It's the perfect place to enjoy lunch, dinner, or Sunday brunch. It's located at 320 East Pearl Street in Jackson. It's warm outside, muggy outside, the perfect time for Dead Soxy no-shows. Absolutely fantastic product. You'll love it. They have 9 new styles to choose from, so find the style that fits your occasion at deadsoxy.com. Use the promo code Rebel Grove at checkout. Get 30% off the best dress socks you've ever put on. You can also check out several bundle packs currently on sale and use the promo code in addition to these already deeply discounted prices at deadsoxy.com. That's DEADSOXY.com. Also brought to you by Pinnacle Trust. Pinnacle Trust is home to the Pinnacle Trust 401k advisory services team. Contact them today, and they'll conduct a complimentary no-obligation benchmarking and analysis of your current 401k plan. Mention you heard about Pinnacle Trust on the Oxford Exxon Podcast. You get 10% off your first year's fees. And we're brought to you by John Edwards, Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. Get in touch with John. Let him know what you have in mind. Give him some options. Give him some parameters. Give him a budget, and sit back, and he'll give you options you won't find on your own, and you don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services. 901-494-3387, or send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first book trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast.
So, let's see. Like that's taking a pretty good bit of time today. I put in the kind of the little YouTube headline, what do we actually know about this team? Because like I said, I mean, Lane has not talked about much personnel-wise at all. I mean, we hear some things off and over and on, a lot of it about the quarterback position, a lot about, like I said, what Renfro could or could not do as this thing moves forward. Because they appear to really like him on the field as a football player. We know Henry Parrish. We know Mark Britt's moved. I mean, but, you know, I guess the point being, I felt like it was Groundhog Day a little bit when I was kind of recapping kind of week 2, things I was hearing about the second scrimmage, things you heard about the first scrimmage, because I think this is kind of the point I'm making. It's not like a lot of changes in a week. You know what I mean? Like your problems are your problems. Your good things are still your good things unless somebody's getting hurt or somebody's getting COVID and you've got whole issues out. I mean, they're going to have defensive line problems. It just is what it is.
Yes.
They're going to have safety issues, most likely. It just kind of is what it is. How they handle those to any degree is what's fascinating. And Lane, I think it's why in my opinion, it's why one of the reasons why he said, hey, every practice is important. It's why if we have anybody out there, we just need to have it, is that he still has so little familiarity with his guys. He might not really even know what he has till they get on the field against Florida.
I think that's fair.
I mean, well, even from the standpoint of, hey, this offensive line is whatever, and this is not an offensive thing, but they're going against the Ole Miss defensive line. You know, what does that look like versus an upper tier SEC defense? I mean, because of no spring, because it's a new staff, because of all the other COVID protocols that are in place, it is the most unknown thing ever as we go into this season, and I'm not sure anybody really knows.
Well, you harassed him on the call about a depth chart. You kept going on and on and on, just droning on about how much you needed a depth chart, how much the subscribers at rebelgrove.com demanded a depth chart. You talked about your fear that your employment status would be in danger if you didn't do a depth chart soon because of some of the warnings that I had passed over you. And he said, look, Chance, I there's nothing I can do here. I don't even know who's available each day. We don't really have a depth chart. We don't know who the ones and the twos are on a given day, and we're moving people around. It was an answer that was a frustrated response to your belligerent query. But if you get away from the emotion of the answer and look at what he literally says we don't have a depth chart. And as much as we do depth chart jokes here, if you don't have a depth chart 3.5 weeks before the season, it's a little bit of an indication that you and a new coaching staff don't really know what you're working with. And they don't. They didn't have a spring. They didn't have a typical summer. And now this is not a typical preseason prep thing, because each morning you get up and you get, like he said, you get a text, hey, these guys aren't available because they tested positive, or these guys aren't available because they were in contact with someone who tested positive and we need to put them in the protocol. And this guy's got a hand injury, and this guy's got an ankle injury, and this guy's got a shoulder injury, and this guy's in concussion protocol. And you have all
these dudes are just true freshmen we've never seen before.
Yeah, and so today, here's who's available for you at safety. You don't really know what these guys can do, so let's just see what happens. And then you go scrimmage, and 2 scrimmages in a row, he says, yeah, there's a whole lot of explosive plays, which is both good and bad. It means good. We have some offensive guys who can produce plays, but it means on the other side, when I say we, it's Ole Miss talking about itself, we got a bunch of guys that are giving up explosive plays, which outweighs the other. And the truth to that is you don't know that, and nobody knows that until you go play games.
I mean, look at it. I mean, we have time. Look, that's what we do. We're sitting here talking about whatever. I mean, position by position. I mean, we talked about quarterbacks. Running backs, they really like it. They know they've got 3 dudes that can play SEC football. Henry Parrish, they love as a true freshman. Jerry Neely, obviously, and then Snoop Connor, obviously. And then there's also some things they like from Contrell Bullock. He's been out a little more. We don't know as much, but not bad, seems like.
Yeah.
That room's pretty good. Wide receiver, you know what Elijah Moore can do pretty much.
Some other dudes they're impressed with.
They like Dennis Jackson. They like
Jonathan
Jonathan Mingo.
Yeah, they'd like to see them produce in a game.
Yeah.
And in fairness to Jonathan and Dennis, they don't have that opportunity until September the 26th, which isn't to say that they can't produce, but it's to say that they can't prove that they can yet. And if you're a coaching staff, you're like, I really like these guys. They didn't do a whole lot last year. This is a new offense. We think they can do a whole lot this year, but we won't know until we see them do it under the lights, or I guess in this case, under the sun. We won't know whether they can do it, which is more than fair.
Real quick out of the stream, yeah, I think that if you had to like depth chart it, I think Cade Renfro is ahead of Grant Tisdale right now. I believe that.
Yes.
Again, we don't have a depth chart, but that's my opinion based off what I'm hearing.
You are unveiling what you have for the depth chart. Is it Saturday morning at 5:30?
Live show.
Yeah, just
like every 15 minutes we'll do a different. It's kind of like when the ESPN does the big bowl unveiling and it takes like 8 hours to do it. Where
you just gave me a really funny idea.
This 30 minutes we're going to do this and then this and then we're going to
in 30 minutes we will release the second team offensive line.
Yeah, we'll just hide letters one at a time as I put them up on the board.
Vanna.
The Temple transfer, Kenny Yoba. They love him in the passing game. Let's see if he can run block. I mean, that's kind of where it is. I mean, he's, again,
I think they like Chase Rogers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of a little more, hey, going to run block. We're going to put our head down a little bit. A little more of that guy with Chase. So they got two guys there. Offensive line, they think they've got 7 dudes. As long as you stay healthy, you can make it work with 7 dudes.
Yeah.
You got to stay healthy, but it's doable.
Yeah,
they think they have pros in Royce and Broker and Ben Brown.
I think they have a pretty good chance to be pretty good up front.
Yeah.
First unit.
Now we need to see what goes on with Jalen Cunningham. We need to see, Caleb Warren coming back, what he looks like. Jeremy James, does he factor in somewhere? All
Eli
those kind of guys.
although he's a true freshman, and in an ideal world, he wouldn't have to play much.
But he might have to play right now.
Yeah.
So you got
always
that.
Talk about the ideal world versus the real world.
So I guess that's the point. Is on the offensive side, you can piece together optimism in a lot of spots. You know what I mean? Like you can, in a perfect world, I see how that works, and I see how that works, and I see how that looks pretty good. And I can kind of get there. I guess that's the point. Is on the defensive side, I'm having a hard time finding some of that. You look at what's best case for the defensive line. Well, I mean, not getting Sam Williams back, or does that hurt in the front? The back 7. If he never comes back, you got this, you got that. You know what Ryder Anderson's probably going to do, but he's got to be in different spots. Can Quentin Bivens take steps? What do those guys do? I mean, there's
when people say things to me about Ryder Anderson possibly moving inside,
so small.
I think, boy, that's not a good sign.
I mean, that's worked once. Isaac Gross.
Yeah, and even he got banged around and beat up and
had
a hard time staying on the field.
Yeah.
It tells me if you're doing that you're thinking about going to a 3-4. You're deeper at linebacker than you are. They're multiple. They're going to do a lot of different things. Look, I think this defense, there's a thread on the board, this defense be worse than 2018. I don't think so. I think DJ Durkin's too good of a defensive coach. I really do. I think he's too good of a defensive coach for them to be that anemic. But it is an X and O Jimmy's and John's league. And, they're lacking on that side of the ball some. I mean, they just are. That's why they're trying.
And there's one way out of it. Recruit your way out of it.
Absolutely. That's why I think if there is a extended dead period, I think you'll see Ole Miss be far more aggressive in the transfer market. And Kiffin has kind of hinted at that. Chris Partridge hinted at that on the one day we got him, the very beginning of the preseason.
They like linebackers.
I think they have some good linebackers.
They like them.
Yeah.
If the defensive line can keep the linemen off of them.
Sonogo is
Those
healthy.
two are in tandem pretty good. You've got Sonogo. I mean, there's
I'm going to write about him either today or tomorrow, but he's a lot healthier. He actually benefited from the pandemic in some ways. It gave him an opportunity to really get his body well, to be as healthy as he's been in a long time. I think they're okay at corner. Not great, but okay. And I think safety is shaky. If you're moving a true freshman from wide receiver to safety and he's starting within 24 hours, that's typically not the best sign in the world.
And frankly, the kicking game's a little shaky.
Yeah, and in a year that I think in many ways it kind of allows Lane Kiffin to go, to hell with it. Let's go.
Kind of do it anyway.
You know, a little bit of Tommy Tuberville's first year at Ole Miss.
4th and 2 sounds good.
What the hell?
Yeah. Well,
In some ways, it lets you coach free. You're not winning. This team's not winning a championship. I mean,
it was the same question we asked back in the day with, I guess it was Matt. Just the lack of bowl eligibility just allowed you to coach free, and that was really a no. But yeah, I mean, the same kind of thing. It's like, hey.
Well, he wasn't wired that way.
Yeah, right.
And the difference was with Matt throughout his time, he was always coaching for his job. He was always coaching for credibility.
Every game felt hypercritical.
Yeah, that is not the case this year. Lane Kiffin's not coaching for credibility this year. He's not coaching for his job. He's not getting fired for losing football games. No one's going to blame him. No one has the money to buy him out. I mean, he couldn't be safer. So he can coach free.
Well, he's already got on social media, we're scoring touchdowns, not kicking field goals.
And in many ways, why not go for it?
Yeah.
It allows you to get on the – this is why I keep saying – I say it because I want to get it across, and I've heard this from enough people to believe that this is absolutely the case. They're going to play that game at 11 a.m. against Florida. It's going to end at 2:30. They're going to do post-game stuff till 3:30. They're going to get on their phones, and they're going to text kids and call kids. Did you see? Remember that play in the third quarter? Did you watch that play in the third quarter where Florida converted the 3rd and 16?
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't quite get to Trask? You saw how we brought linebacker pressure right there? You're that linebacker. You would have gotten to him.
Yeah.
That's the message. And you can't deliver that message if you don't put the game on TV. Where the kid says, Coach, I didn't see it. Well, hey, I want you to watch it. And I want you to text me when you see this play. And then the coach knows when the kid texts him later that day or the next day, it says, I see it, Coach. We're in on that kid. We got a shot there. That's the way this season's going to be. In many ways, it's a frustrating deal for fans. It's kind of a fascinating thing from a program building standpoint. You're selling kids on something they can't be there to see, but they can absolutely almost be part of the game plan. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, I get it.
Remember we brought that safety blitz on 3rd and 7 late in the third quarter, and the kid goes, yeah, Florida did whatever on that play. Yeah, well, you're that safety.
Well, it's the Kimdiche story we told. Same thing.
Yeah.
Hey, you tackle him,
but
and we win.
But this is even more specific.
Yeah.
Because now it's
you're that dude.
Hey,
that's that spot.
Watch number 17. That's you. Except you're better than him. He's a good kid. He works hard, but you're faster than him. You're bigger than him.
We love him, but
we didn't recruit him.
Yeah.
We like him. He's a great kid. His mom seems nice. But you're our guy. You would play that spot, and you would have made that play. He couldn't quite make that play. We think you'd make that play.
The kid goes home.
Yeah. Well, and you're recruiting high-level kids. Those kids believe they'd make the play.
Did you even know the U.S. Open was going on?
Right now?
Tennis.
Oh, yeah, because I saw Djokovic walk out on the court yesterday, and he looked around and stuff, and it was just kind of eerily silent.
With no fans?
Yeah. Is that on TV right now?
Probably. I don't know. I just saw it on ESPN when I went over to see what they're talking about.
People would be shocked to know what's on in the Clark Ford studio right now. Real quick.
Hold on.
Don't tell them.
Okay.
Real quick in the thread, what do you think is on in the Clark Ford studio on the big screen in our studio right now? What network?
That's what I was going to ask you. Are we doing like actual subject or just network?
Network.
Okay.
I can't control what's actually on. I mean, I'm trying to turn this thing into a political podcast. Just yesterday, I thought we did some hardcore politics. HGTV, nope. MSNBC, nope. Two good guesses.
I don't think we've ever been on MSNBC in here that I'm aware of.
It's not 206. It's not Oxygen, not Bravo, not Disney, not Food Network, not OAN, and not Fox News, not TLC, although that is good. Not Newsmax. I don't even know. What is Newsmax?
I don't know. Is that like some OAN thing?
I don't know.
Nobody's guessing this?
Not yet. No, it's not Pornhub. Come on.
Come on.
HLN, nope. CMT, nope. Not QVC. Not Fox News, nope. We're watching CNN in this bad boy. CNN. Waiting for Don Trump Jr.'s call.
Nobody guessed it?
Nope. What is Create? Is that actually a channel? I don't even want to ask. Yep, CNN. Yep.
Yeah.
There it is.
How long have you been on CNN?
An hour. I turned on the Biden press conference.
Why'd you choose this channel for that?
I don't know. I will watch CNN.
You flip back and forth a good bit or what?
No, I watch CNN a good bit, actually. I give them a chance.
Trump was talking a second ago.
Trump was giving a speech just a second. Let's see if they flipped away from it. So I'll go to the station that would not flip away from it.
You don't think they flipped away?
I'm going to guess that Fox News. Oh,
they flipped away too.
They flipped away too. How about that?
Okay.
Dana Perino is kind of sexy. She just is. I always thought she was when she was Bush's press secretary.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
You think she's attractive? That makes me a bad person. Well, then
I don't make you a bad person.
I don't know. People get upset at a lot of different things. Oh, Trump's speech is over.
Well, that's why they cut away.
That's why everyone cut away.
You don't think they stopped in the middle?
It appears that both CNN and Fox
at
News
the exact same time
stayed with it through the entire speech.
Well, I mean, what else is going on at 1:51 on Wednesday when the president's talking?
That's a great question. I don't know.
I mean, that'd be a bad producer to go, you know what? We'll find something else. Doesn't make a lot of sense. A lot of people milling about, mostly mask, I see.
That one guy right there took his mask off. When you have your mask under your chin.
Pennsylvania, what are we doing?
Oh, so in Pennsylvania, this is Monmouth University poll. Trump was down 13 last month to Biden. He's pulled within 4 in Pennsylvania.
Do you recall the time that you've seen Monmouth play a sporting event?
Baseball, right? They played baseball at Ole Miss in a regional.
You know which one?
2018?
No, you got to go way back.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, you were there. So the first game Drew pitched on the Western Kentucky weekend. They were the 4 seed on opening night.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Frankly, they might have been back. If so, sorry, but that's the one I remember as we were doing that. Anyway, let's see. Speaking of mask, I'll tell you about Tyson Drugs and G&M Immune Support Med Packs. Pharmacists delivered combinations of vitamins and supplements designed to boost your immune system and lung health. 30-day supply of vitamin C, zinc, NAC, probiotic, and vitamin D3 to help the immune system, the lung health, the GI regulation, and immune regulation as well. It's the best combination of OTC supplements to prepare your body for dangerous viruses. You can stop by Tyson Drugs or G&M or give them a call, 662-236-2222.
Rebel fans, we're just a few weeks away from the first Ole Miss football game of 2020, and our friends at Blue Delta Jeans want you to know they're here for your game day needs, whether you're one of the lucky few to make it to Vaught-Hemingway this season or if you plan to watch the game at home with a few socially distanced friends. A new pair of Blue Delta Jeans are just the look you need to look great and feel comfortable on Saturdays. Blue Delta's new line of 4-way stretch cotton pants come in 12 colors, including a great new powder blue for their Ole Miss fans. So drop by the Oxford studio or DM Blue Delta at Blue Delta Jeans on their social media, or email info@bluedeltajeans.com for more information. And remember, just because you won't be in the Grove this year doesn't mean you don't need to look your best for game day. We're also brought to you by Oxford University Bank, OUB, locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money At OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community. OUB gives you the comfort of home, all the benefits the big mega banks provide, all the technology and products you can want, all with the personal touch. When you call OUB, you speak directly with a live person, no 10 buttons to push, no 5-minute wait. OUB is also home to a commercial checking account, now paying 1% interest as long as you keep $10,000 in the account. It comes with fully interactive online banking, and you can learn more at liveoxfordbankoxford.com or call 662-234-6668. My mailbag is up on the site. It's brought to you by Whitney McNutt of Tommy Morgan Incorporated Realtors, serving you for all your real estate needs in Oxford and Tupelo. She sells condos, land, commercial, and residential family homes, and you can reach her at 662-567-2573 or 662-842-3844. A little shout out real quick.
Okay.
It's going to be kind of an emotional school year for me, I think, because all these girls that have been in Campbell and Caroline's age group, a lot of the last ones of them really are seniors. Shout out to Gracie Bourne, family friend. Caroline's one of her 2 or 3 very best friends, named the captain of the Oxford cheer team today. So,
Okay.
Way to go, Gracie.
I don't guess we've talked about this here podcast. Caroline student body president at Oxford High School. A few days ago, you got that one done.
Got it done. I didn't get it.
Did you campaign manage at all, or what was your role in this?
I tried to be active in social media.
Is that reaching Oxford High students? Is that a benefit to the election?
I don't know. I just did the best I could.
You were a middleman on an AK video.
She asked me if I thought that Andy would shoot a video for her.
Sure.
And I said, well, I'll ask him.
And he did.
And I asked, and he just sent me back an immediate response with done. And the next day, there's Andy Kennedy. People say they won't, man.
He did a good job. I saw it.
I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. Ole Miss is so blessed over the last 15 years. You have 2 really good human beings in your basketball coaching spot.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you like Andy Kennedy, the coach, or you like Kermit Davis, the coach, that's for you to decide. And y'all can debate that till you're blue in the face. They're both incredible people.
Somebody asking the thread, any word on gear? Yeah, incredibly close. Like, basically ready to go. I've got a sample, I think, being delivered today, and I'd like to see it. And then after that, I think we're good to go, at least on the first little section of things. Got several things, but this is the opening act with it. So yeah, I think we're really, really close. I just needed to see. It's a shirt that I wanted to look at before we told anybody to have it as an option, because if it sucks, we'll have to obviously change our minds. But I'm optimistic. I think it's all good. So we've done that. So got like 7 items ready, I think, maybe in some different colors, something like that. So all good.
A little podcast that could.
It took us a little while, but we came around, so it is what it is. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of talk about season tickets and stuff in the emails right now. I don't know if it's good or bad. But
did you see this from Tyler Layton in the thread?
What is it?
I'm taking Tyler's word for it here. So I'll credit Tyler Layton, and that way if we're wrong, we'll blame Tyler Layton. Tyler, welcome to journalism. Ohio State football practicing in shells today. Announcement supposedly coming around 5:30.
Well, let's head on over to the Ohio State rival site.
I did see the Nebraska president today.
What did he do?
He spoke very vaguely, but he did not in any shape, form, or fashion rule out a Big Ten season. Now, he didn't say they were having one either, but he didn't say they weren't.
I'm trying to get into the I'm not seeing it, but on their site, although shut up.
What?
Nothing.
Keep going.
No, shut up.
What do you have to say? I mean, it's well after noon.
I don't know. Oh, look at you. I don't know that I would have seen it anyway, frankly, but there are a few amazing things in the Rivals Network. That remains one of them as we look at certain things. That's all I'm saying. That's one.
Yeah, I hear you. Just didn't know whether you wanted to go a little further with that.
I mean, at least he's a pleasant human being, though. I mean, I'm kidding. Sorry.
Yeah. Now when I get the call, it's going to be, what was Chase talking about? I'm going to say,
Call him. I don't know.
yeah. What do you think? I control him?
It comes off like we have like Anchorman type duels, and frankly, we just don't speak. But there's 3 or 4 programs that get covered by these websites that I just don't understand. There's things that will continue to amaze me forever.
Dan Wilkins' tweet 8 hours ago. Did you see this?
No.
Big Ten football is now a political prop for a president who is behind in the polls and needs Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan to get reelected, but he'll need to deliver more than tweets to move the league's presidents. Dan Patrick, 5 hours ago, says, why October the 10th? That's the latest they can play and still be in the playoffs.
Well, that makes sense.
Who is Bobby Carpenter?
I don't know.
7-year NFL linebacker, 2-time graduate at Ohio State.
What'd he do?
And the co-host of Morning Juice 971, The Fan, whatever. He says, very encouraging news with Big Ten. Kevin Warren has a good handle on what is needed for sports to return. Feds will provide enough tests for all sports in the Big Ten, which solves the most critical questions. Schools have great med centers for any additional resources needed. The Ohio State president says she's very hopeful Big Ten will be playing in the fall. I'll never understand why they didn't just kick the can down the road. Why they didn't just say, hey, guess what? We're not going to play until late September like the other guys, if we play at all. So what we're going to do is we're going to slow this down a little bit. We're going to let the guys continue to practice. We're going to limit contact. We're going to keep it calm. We're going to see if we can do this or not. And that way, think about this, Chase. That was a Joe Biden moment. He always says, think about it. Think about this. If you can't, you'd be able to say, we tried to tell everybody this wasn't doable. Told you.
Gave it a shot.
We tried. Good sports. We are. We were always rowing the boat together. We were trying to play along. We told you this wasn't doable. And then if you could do it, and it certainly looks like you can, you go, yeah, we did the smart thing. Just kind of took it nice and slow. Eased into the season. We didn't jump into the deep end. We started on the shallow end and the baby steps, and we made sure that the water was safe. And we didn't swim into the deep end until we absolutely knew that everyone was going to be fine. We are responsible. Instead, from a Big Ten standpoint, you did just the opposite. You went, oh, this can't be done. This can't be done. And you let the SEC, the crazy-ass SEC, the ones that are, football's more important than anything in the world, you let them do the one day at a time. Nice and easy. Let's see how it goes.
Hey, if you got so many, just stop. We got time. We'll come back. Auburn showing that. Chill out.
Yes.
It's all good. Just get it done.
Isn't that amazing? You let the SEC dictate that.
Pac-12 hadn't said a word, though, right?
But they're crazy. They're nuts.
We're not having the conversation. Seriously, they're having no conversation at all, are they?
No. They're Maricopa County in Arizona says they can't take mask off until they go 28 days with like 10 cases or less. I mean, they're going to be locked up forever out there.
So Gavin Newsom is not doing any like, hey, we might want to play football at all. Like, no, you can't. That's whatever.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
But the Big Ten could have done it.
Wow.
Should have done it.
Yeah.
And by the way,
the model was right there.
If this season gets played, and I think it's going to, as much as you and me like to make fun of Texas, the more I hear, the more I think Texas and Oklahoma played a pretty big role. They impacted the Big 12 decision,
of course,
pretty dramatically. And the Big 12 coming along gave the SEC and the ACC that extra biscuit for breakfast.
I don't like all and nothing statements, but yeah, the Pac-12 is killed by this if it works out for everybody else. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
recruiting, money, everything. You're just
Absolutely.
now because now you're the only one over there.
Yeah. That's the crazy thing. People will forgive the Big Ten if they'll just come to their senses.
Yeah, sure.
No one's even going to demand that big of an apology. Yeah, we're going to make fun of you, but you'll be okay. And people do the playoff thing. Man, I've talked to enough people in college sports. I mean, Kiffin made the funny joke yesterday about what difference it's only the two leagues that are in the playoff every year. They're playing. He's not wrong.
No.
But nobody's thinking that far ahead. Nobody's spending a lot of time thinking about what a playoff will look like. There aren't going to be bowls in all likelihood, or there certainly aren't going to be many bowls. This be the year to expand. You play 16 teams, 8 teams, whatever. Who cares?
Got a random thing here. ESPN rating, or I say ESPN. Who actually is it? It's just ESPN.com. So I guess it's a panel. Rating the top 50, I think, best college football players, maybe 150, whatever the number is. LSU lost all that. Still has 2 in the top 5. LSU with 2 of the top 5 football players in the country still on their team.
They're still very talented.
Trevor Lawrence, obviously, at number 1. Number 2, LSU, just a sophomore, Derek Stingley Jr.
He's a stud.
He's good.
Oof.
A offensive lineman at Oregon is number 3. Justin Fields, number 4. And then, obviously, not playing, but Jamar Chase, number 5 at LSU. Oregon with 2 of the top 6. Defensive end for Oregon, number 6. Travis Etienne, the Clemson running back, number 7. Marvin Wilson, defensive tackle at Florida State. Remember him from recruiting.
Yeah.
At number 8, Micah Parsons at Penn State, number 9. And then Patrick Surtain Jr., the top Alabama player, at number 10. So
Another good player, too.
Yeah. Just looking through here. Bama has a player at 13, 14. Trey Smith at Tennessee, 16 nationally. Best college football players. Remember that one quite well as well.
You remember that.
Jalen Waddle at 18. Dylan Moses at 19. Talk about remembering a recruit. I feel like we covered that guy since he was in diapers. Leatherwood, 20. So, yeah, Bama's got some guys. Phil Longo's quarterback is 22. Walker Little, 23. Speaking of.
Yeah, he was one that his stock could have jumped up a little bit more by playing. He'll be fine.
He'll be okay.
I think so.
Colin Hill at 32. Kenneth Gainwell at 33. The Memphis running back is opting out. He's not playing this season.
Colin Hill, if football doesn't work out, he has a career in diplomacy. He
got a lot done.
Got a lot done by himself.
A few people said that. Said it only happened because of that.
Speaking of, we're asked for our thoughts on the flag, the Magnolia flag that's going to get.
It is
put
going.
on the
It is
ballot.
going to vote. Yes.
You think it gets it or not? In any other state in America, I'd go, oh yeah, it's fine. Here, I don't know, man.
Honestly, I'm not sure that any flag was going to get it. It's got to get a majority, 50 plus 1.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not convinced. There'll be a lot of people that just go, yeah, sure. But then there'll be a lot of people that go, no, because it's not the old flag. I don't know. And am I right in saying this? If it doesn't get it, they start over? Isn't that right?
Yeah. Yeah. They
might just not have a flag for a decade. I don't know.
I told you that was my prediction, is that we would go years of no flag, and the no flag thing would become a great joke.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know. I don't think it passes. I mean, maybe I'm wrong and it gets 78%, but I don't think so.
Oh, wow. Real clear politics average. We're jumping around today. Trump
Sure.
up 1 in Carolina, down 3.5 in Wisconsin, down 5 and change in Minnesota, down 3 and change in Florida.
Okay.
Close. November's going to be such a mess. It was the one thing everybody was so hyperbolic about Hogan being on the podcast yesterday. But if you could put your partisanship aside, and many of you couldn't, if you could, the one thing he said yesterday that should send shivers down your spine, whether you're for Trump or for Biden or for the Magnolia flag or for any other flag, is this idea that we could be counting votes or debating the validity of votes days after the election.
Mm-hmm.
It's Bush Gore on steroids.
Yeah, because it's not even, hey, we need to count or recount. It's things are still moving. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a whole different deal.
It's the very real possibility that on election night, Donald Trump looks like the big winner. And I think that is what's going to happen if you maybe get best on today. If we're all honest with ourselves, who are the people that are doing the mail-in voting? It's people who, for the most part, are scared to go to the ballot place or don't feel like they can go to the ballot place because of COVID.
Sure, yeah.
The majority of the people who do that, if you are honest with yourselves, tend to lean to the left. The people who are going in on election day to vote because they aren't particularly afraid of the virus, whether they should or shouldn't be, whatever, tend to lean to the right. They're probably voting for Trump.
You know, a large contingency of the votes will be left for.
So in that scenario, the votes that are counted on election day, because people vote on site, on premises, are going to be for Trump, and it's going to appear that he is the big winner. And then if a bunch of mail-in ballots start coming in the days after that get counted, those numbers are going to change, which means that no matter who wins for the next 4 years, there will be a debate about the validity of his election, whether it's Trump or Biden. It's why
it was the question that was most interesting yesterday is, you're going to have – there's going to be an untrusting winner no matter what. There's going to be no mandate because of the way the votes potentially come in.
Okay, so here's my question for you.
Sure.
If you had to make a prediction today, who is the president of the United States at 12:01 Eastern Standard Time, January the 20th? Because I'll throw a wild card at you that's not Donald Trump and not Joe Biden.
Nancy Pelosi.
Nancy Pelosi.
See, I think they find a way to not let that happen so it gets done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, look, 2020 is crazy enough.
I know.
If I could have gotten some odds in October of 19 that the first female president is Nancy Pelosi.
I know.
I mean, we can buy whatever damn computer we need to buy right
we
now.
buy 10 of them.
I mean, dude.
Yeah, we're debating I'm debating whether or not to buy this very nice computer, the one that Jay Tate
that
has.
we may or may not need. We're not really
I'm not sure if I need it. I know it would be nice. I don't really want to pour the money into it right this very moment, but I could buy 10 of them. Easy with that money. If I had bet on Nancy Pelosi.
I knew what you were going to say. I don't think they allow that to happen. I think it gets solved.
Yes, if the GOP took the House, it'll be the GOP majority leader. If you think the GOP, based on the numbers, is taking the House, I'm picking Vanderbilt to win the SEC this year.
Well, that's probably an exaggeration.
A little bit.
So
I like the Democrats' odds of holding on to the House.
Okay. Okay. Well, we've covered a lot of things on today's show. We always try to entertain,
That's
inform.
what we do.
Politics, sports.
This is a
human nature, the way people think.
Next on OAN.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I've never even watched OAN.
I haven't either. I wouldn't know how to find it. Where do you get it?
I guess you go online. I don't know.
Is it like on a DirecTV or something? Is it an actual channel? I don't know.
If it is, I've never seen it.
No clue.
I don't know.
I'm left as left can be. I can't find those things out. I'm not sure. Tomorrow's night show tomorrow is what we will do.
Yeah.
Our typical show, doing a couple other things as well. Still trying to get something accomplished. I hope we get that. We can let you know. But we will give you much more detail on merch and on gear tomorrow. I think we'll be in a better handle of it by tomorrow night. For that, you can see some of it, and we'll do the best we can. So appreciate that. Appreciate you guys today, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.